All right, if I did this correctly, I should be recording my screen and recording myself at the same time. So welcome to another video, this time sponsored by me. And today I'm going to talk to you about my experiences with Walt Disney World and the two internship experiences that I had, one with the Disney College program and another one doing Disney Professional Internships. So a couple things. I actually made this video yesterday and I felt like one, I was a little bit in too much of a rush. I actually have food that was midway through being done. And with having to deal with my phone and the alarm and actually some random person knocked at my door and the dogs were barking, I felt like, you know what? Let me table that. Let me create it again today with a little more time, a little more patience, a little more of a slower tone and pace. And let's just get on with it, make a better video today. So I'm going to be breaking this video up. It's going to be a story, if you will, a little bit of background on myself, sort of my entire schooling career, and in between those two parts, where the internships came about and when I did them, how I felt about them, just any notes I really have about the internships in general, and hopefully I can show you guys some cool stuff on the screen while I talk about it. So I do have some notes that I took on this screen over here, which you probably can't see. You probably see a little bit of this one, but you can't see this one right here. So I might be looking, on this screen every once in a while, but don't worry, I'm just checking out my notes. I want to make sure that I cover as much as I can because I don't know, some cool things may be for you to know if you're considering doing the program, or if like me, you're just interested in theme parks and Disney World in general. Okay, so I think the first thing I should talk about is where I started. So I graduated high school. Well, first of all, I'm from Florida. I was born and raised in Florida, and I graduated high school in 2011. And the first university that I was accepted to was the University of Central Florida. So UCF, go Knights. And I went to UCF as a mechanical engineering student. Now, the reason that I wanted to do mechanical engineering was actually to help design theme park attractions at some point in my life. So it kind of lends itself to the whole Disney thing. And I chose UCF because all of my best friends were going there and it was close to home. I loved Florida. I wasn't really looking to go out of state. Maybe I should, I don't know, maybe I should have rather, but I decided UCF and I'm honestly, frankly, very happy I did. So I started as a mechanical engineering student. This was in 2011. I was one of the first people in my senior year to get accepted into university, which was good and bad. Good because, well, I was accepted to college, I don't have anything to worry about, but bad because I was accepted to college so early, and it means that I kind of just got lazy and didn't really care so much about my schoolwork anymore. So University of Central Florida, that's where it all started. Let's see, UCF, Florida. Yep, University of Central Florida, a university for the future. So yeah, I went over here for mechanical engineering, and I remember walking into, I think it was maybe I guess the orientation I had at UCF, and I want to see if I can find a picture of this because this was I had no idea this was going to be in here, but let me see if I can show you the UCF engineering building, and I'm curious to see if it shows up in the images there. Maybe, oh, this one kind of has it, but I want one that's maybe a little bit closer. Let me put engineering building lobby because there is one thing I want to show you. Oh, here we go. Okay, so in the UCF engineering lobby, I don't know if this is still even there anymore, but they actually have a to-scale ride attraction vehicle or attraction vehicle of Space Mountain directly in there. So you can imagine me walking to the engineering building. I was literally, 18 years old. Here I am thinking, maybe this could be my pathway towards Disney World. I can be an engineer or an Imagineer. And lo and behold, I see this plaque shaped like Mickey Mouse and the Space Mountain ride vehicle. So that was pretty amazing. That was a very cool thing. UCF and Disney are very tight. They have a lot of collaboration between each other. So already for me, that was extremely exciting, something that I was definitely looking forward to. Now, when I started off, again, I started off doing mechanical engineering, but slowly I started learning about computer science and software engineering. And because of this, it sort of shaped my future, sort of shaped where I ended up. And I'll get more into that, in the future as we go throughout this whole story. But I also want to talk about what I felt even after seeing this, and as happy as I was seeing this, I felt like right away within the first 2 months, I felt like, I don't know if I want to be here. I was having a ton of fun. I was having a true university experience with my best friends, being on campus, staying in the dorms, just having a lot of fun. But I felt like I needed something more, like I wasn't being challenged enough. It's just a feeling that I had in my stomach. So I remember I dialed the phone, I called my mom, I said, hey mom, I think I found the program that I want to go to. Now, I've been in chorus my entire life, choir. I'm not in choir anymore, but from second grade all the way up until I graduated university, I was in choir. And being in UCF my first year, it was the first time that music was not part of my daily curriculum. Now, I could have joined a club or I could have joined something else that would have put me in there, but I almost was so used to it being part of my curriculum that it felt foreign to me that it was not. And through music, I got so many opportunities in life, and I felt like, I need to do something with music again. But I still want to do something with engineering. So again, I went on Google, similar to what I'm doing here now, and I did programs that combine engineering and music in Florida. And right away, just like you literally see on the screen here, the Bachelor of Science in Music Engineering Technology at the University of Miami. I ended up going to the University of Miami, but that came way later. But I called my mom and I said, Mom, I want to go to UM. And she was scared because the University of Miami, unfortunately, is very expensive. And I did take out a large loan to be able to go. We can talk about that in another video. But she was scared because she knew it was going to cost a lot of money and it was a big risk that I was taking. But I said, I found what I want to do. This thing has music and engineering and I want to do this. And she said, well, if that's what you want to do, that's cool. But you're going to have to stay your first year at UCF. You can't leave and just like go to UM. You already paid for UCF. You got it. So go in there, enjoy the year and stay. And, hearing this, I was sad because I wanted to leave. I was ready to go. I wanted to, I saw this future ahead of me that was so amazing. And I thought, okay, I just want to get out of UCF and start. But anyway, let's fast forward. I do the whole entire year and I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm done with UCF. I want to go back home. So I remember thinking, okay, let me see what I can do if I can transfer to UM. So I go to UM and mind you, I'm a mechanical engineering major and I asked them, hey, can I transfer to UM? And honestly, my SAT scores at the time when I graduated from high school and my grades at UCF when I first started were not good enough for me to transfer to UM. So I thought, okay, I can't do UM, so let me just go to FIU because FIU was close to home and I can go to FIU and I felt a lot better because I was home. And guess what? When I was in FIU, I joined choir and everything was cool. And I might be wondering, where's Disney and all this? Like, I still don't understand. They made a video about Disney. I haven't said anything about Disney except the Space Mountain thing. And I'm getting to there. I just want to give you a whole timeline of my entire schooling career. So I do FIU. That's really cool. I was still doing mechanical engineering. And finally, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take a semester off and I'm going to apply to Disney College Program. So finally, now we're talking about Disney College Program. So again, I just go on Google and I say, Disney College Program, Disney programs, jobs and careers at Disney. And I told myself, okay, you know what? I'm going to do Disney College Program. I'm going to try something new. This could be my foot in the door to a career in Disney, to just learning more about Disney and what happens backstage. So just gave Disney a call and I had an interview just like anyone else would. And I remember the interview being very much a personality test. I thought to myself, like, as long as I just act cheerful and I'm happy, they will probably hire me. And they did. I got a job at Disney. And I remember the two suggestions they gave to me based on my personality were that of a host or doing bell services. So I chose to do bell services because I thought as a host, I don't know, a host probably you can talk to a lot of people, but bell services just seemed very cool. And very fortunately, I was placed in one of one of the deluxe resorts at Disney, which is called Disney's Yacht and Beach Club. So inside of Disney's Yacht and Beach Club, I was bell services. So let me see if we can actually find. So let's do Disney's Yacht and Beach Club over here. Because I want to see if I can find a picture of the lobby so I can show you guys exactly where I would work. So, this one looks closer to it. Maybe if we do something like bell services. So this is front desk. I literally face this from my desk. It's funny because bell services, nowadays bell services are becoming less of a thing because I remember visiting the beach club years after I left DCP, Disney College Program. And bell services, pretty much everything was just handled front desk now. So it might be hard for us to actually find a picture of the bell services desk. But if this is a view to the front desk, I was literally like right behind. And actually this one, you can see bell services. It looked like it was just combined directly within the front desk. So it was like maybe off to the corner here now. Anyway, so what did I do as bell services? In bell services, there's the bell services dispatchers and also the bellhops. So I wasn't a bellhop, meaning that I wasn't someone that actually went to go pick up the luggage and have it delivered, but rather I was the person that helped create the work orders and all the details of where the luggage was stored, where the guests wanted it, in case anything was refrigerated, where to put it. I had to deal with people coming from the airport, people coming from Disney Cruise Line, so on and so forth. So that's pretty much what I did. And honestly, it was a lot of fun because when I entered Disney College Program, I stayed in a place called Vista Way, which I'll get to that in a second, and I roomed with 6 other people. It was three people from Norway, one person from Mexico, one person from Illinois, and then myself. So I guess six people, including myself. All of them had crazy, wild schedules. I mean, I think I roomed with one of the guys I roomed with. He was actually Peter Pan, so a character actor. I roomed with the person from Illinois was parade audience control. I roomed with the other person from Norway was doing the front desk at the Grand Floridian. The person that was actually my roommate, the person that slept in the same room with me, the person from Mexico, he did food, and his schedule, he'd have to wake up at like 2 or 3 in the morning sometimes just to be able to get his shift. And I thought that was wild. But luckily for me, Bell Services was very standard. So I'd either have, like, I almost always worked Monday to Friday. I would have the last 2 days off. And it was very like 9 to 5 or like 2 to 8 or something like that, 2 to 9. Very, very standard schedule. Very cool. I feel like I wasn't as stressed out as they were. So I think that was like a huge plus. And the cool thing is being part of a deluxe resort, it means that I got to interface with many, many different people, like from all different walks of life. Because in these types of resorts, there's a lot more amenities, there's a lot more people, during the holidays or during any period of the year, they're very heavily decorated, they're very well themed. So it's just very cool seeing a little bit of backstage of that. And I think had I been placed in other resort, I'm not sure, how exactly it would have how exactly it would have felt for me. Now I remember something else that I thought was very cool about my time there was this was a very unique time in Disney history because it was during the time where the Magic Band was coming out. And if you guys don't remember, I wonder how like the Magic Band version 1, let me see, version 1, I remember it being this very thin. I think this one was the first one here. I don't know if this is like in chronological order of the first one all the way to the newer one, but it was so cool because the manager, actually the front desk manager, maybe even the hotel manager at Disney, this was I think at Beach Club, she pulled us aside and she said, hey, these Magic Bands are coming out. This is how the technology works. And we're going to be rolling this out to a percentage of guests as they come to Disney World. And it's your job, since you're, front facing, you're guest facing. We want to teach you how to interface with guests that have Magic Bands. So if they have any sorts of questions, this is how you can answer them. If they want to find more information on Magic Bands, you can point them in this way. So I thought it was very cool to see the beginning of such a paramount piece of technology in Disney. It's something that is so heavily embedded within Disney now. You kind of use it for everything. So it was just cool seeing how that was rolled out. And funny enough, when I did my professional internship with Disney, I sat next to someone, like their office was right next to my cubicle, and they worked on the tech for the Magic Band. So I actually saw some of the actual the microprocessors inside, the chips inside of the Magic Band, and that was very cool. So that's just one of the really cool things that I got to do in DZP. And I think probably, again, I'm looking at my notes because I want to make sure I don't miss anything. So give me a second here. I think so far I've done everything except, okay, two more things that's actually good. So when you join DCP, normally you want it to align with something that you're studying. So I was doing engineering, so I kind of aligned myself with the engineering track, and they actually had these classes you'd go to. I think it was like once a week. You would go to this sort of classroom and you would go in there and talk to people that currently work at Disney World as engineers. You'd be able to sort of pick their brain. They would give you homework that you'd come back the next week and talk about. And I got to meet a lot of cool engineers. I got to understand what it meant to be an Imagineer and the sort of the different engineering that goes on behind the scenes at Disney and how the work just has evolved over the months and the years and some of the cool things that were coming out in the future. And I also got to meet a lot of other people that were also interested in doing engineering at Disney. Now, you might imagine, Disney is very good for hospitality. If you are interested in hospitality or if you want to join, a hotel later on, you want to maybe manage a hotel, I think having Disney on your resume is phenomenal for that. I do think that for engineering, it is probably pretty cool. But later on in my professional internship, one of my bosses told me that, Disney really prioritizes entertainment over engineering. And it really is an entertainment company at the end of the day, not an engineering company. And you aren't treated there. I'm not saying you're treated bad by any means. You're treated good at Disney, but the sort of amenities and I guess attention you get is unlike what you might get at a big tech company, let's say on the West Coast, like an Apple or a Microsoft, so on and so forth. But all that being said, I did get a chance to meet a lot of really cool engineers. And of course, I got a chance to just go through the whole entire Disney onboarding, with, I forget what it's called. I think it's called Disney Imaginations. Or what's that called again? The Disney onboarding. There's a name for that. Disney World onboarding, pre-arrival onboarding. What's the name? Disney Traditions. So yeah, it was pretty crazy when Mickey Mouse literally came out and he gave me my name tag. So if you haven't done Disney Traditions, that's the only spoiler I'll give, but it's pretty cool. I mean, it's very standard, like corporate policy. but the ending when Mickey Mouse comes out and gives you a name tag is very cool. And I still have, actually, I wonder, give me a second because this will be really cool to show on camera. This one I got this one when I worked at Disney doing a professional internship. But you can see, and I'm actually going to come behind my camera because I want to make sure that you can see this really well. So this says Ralph, professional intern, and I had a badge there that it says facilities and operations, and then engineering the magic 2016. So this wasn't the original name tag I got, but it was one of the name tags I got, and I just thought that was super cool. So I'll just leave this here for now. But one of the best parts about Disney is the traditions. Okay, so finally, this was like peak DCP program for me. So there was this person that worked in front desk, and I was a young single guy, and I thought she was pretty. So I remember one day one of the managers came up to me, and it was late at night, and he said, "Hey, there is a guest that left their luggage at the hotel, and they need to get it like by tonight, and they live in Fort Myers," which I believe it was Fort Myers. It was like a 2-hour drive, and he says, "I'll pay for you to go, give you money, I'll give you GPS, literally a GPS that you used to stick on the window to see. It's not like your phone now, like having Waze." He said, "Do you want to go?" And I said, "Yeah, of course. I mean, that's such a cool opportunity to drive a van with Disney on it to go down and deliver this to guests. That's amazing." And I said, "Okay, under one condition, I want to go." I think her name was Emily. And I said, "Under one condition, I want to go with Emily." So my manager at the time walked over to Emily and asked, "Do you want to go with Raphael to deliver this luggage?" And she said yes. And so we embarked on like a 5-hour adventure to be able to deliver luggage to this family in Fort Myers, driving a Disney van and having $200 in our pocket, like cash that the manager gave us to be able to get whatever we wanted. And let me tell you, it was one of the coolest experiences I've ever had in my life. There's a picture that I have on Instagram of that family, and I wish I can find it. If I do find it, I'll add it in post when I'm editing the video. I'll see if I can. That was a long time ago, but it was one of the coolest things. I mean, I had my name tag on still, and you can imagine this was like a private community. So going through that gate and saying, "Oh, I'm with Disney. We're here to deliver some luggage." It was the coolest thing. The family was so happy. I mean, I don't know if I'll ever do something like that again in my life. Truly a Disney magical moment. Okay, cool. So DCP ended. It's funny enough, I actually quit the program 2 days prior to the end date because there was a person there who sort of mocked me for my ambitions to go to UM, and it really got to me. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to deal with this. Let's just say they said, you're just gonna end up being a musician, and that's about it. And I said, oh, that doesn't really sit well with me, so I think I'm just gonna end here and leave. And I did. I quit 2 days before my end term, and that was about it. And do I have anything else to say about that? I did say I stayed at Vista Way, which during my research yesterday, I learned that's not even a thing. See, is Vista Way still a thing? Turns out that might not even be a thing anymore, but I stayed at this resort. Not a resort, it's a community for Disney College Program students, I suppose. It's the lowest of the 3 tiers they had. It was like Vista Way, Patterson Square, and Chatting, maybe something like this. And Vista Way was the cheapest one, so the money that they took out of my weekly paycheck was the lowest out of all 3. The apartment definitely reflected that, but it was great for us. The craziest thing, though, was that there were rumors that it was a very promiscuous community, and although I was not involved in any of this promiscuity myself, it turns out that a lot of people were being, I guess, fired from the program for doing inappropriate things in some of the public areas, like the pools and the jacuzzis, and maybe some private areas too. So that was like a big thing in Disney College Program. It's almost like the Olympics, the Athletes Village, I think it's called. Like, where do the athletes stay during the Olympics? The Olympic Village, there you go. I know there's a lot of stuff that happens in the Olympic villages, so you can think of Vista Way kind of like this. Anyway, that's a wrap on DCP. So I finished DCP, and oh, wait a second. There's a huge thing I forgot. During my time at DCP, now I have to go back. During my time at DCP, I go back to University of Miami because I auditioned for the music school, which is where music engineering comes into play, right? Music engineering is part of the music school, the Frost School of Music. I go on audition, I hear back from them, and they say that I'm not accepted to music engineering, but rather my second pick, music education. And what do? I write a heartfelt letter to the choir director at the Frost School of Music saying, hey, look, my math scores might not show that I'm ready, but I promise you I'm ready, and I'll do the best of my ability to make sure that I go and kick ass. And I remember one time going into my shift at DCP. It was a shift for specifically in Magical Express, which was the bus that comes from Orlando International Airport for the airport guests. And I go in, I log into my computer, and there's a message with the subject line that says, "You'll be an engineer." And the first sentence of the body says, "At the Frost School of Music." So I had been accepted at the Frost School of Music for music engineering, and that's where I was going to go once I returned from Disney College program. And you can imagine I was elated by this. And it just goes to show, if you're listening, do not take no for an answer. Okay, if there's something in your life that you really want and someone tells you no, you can't do it, you can do it. Like, there's nothing in your way besides you to be able to get whatever it is you want. And let this be a great example of that, of the fact that, hey, I was literally told no, and I just sent a message and said, "Hey, I can do this. I promise you I can do this." And I did, and I graduated, and I got to where I am today. So let this be a message to anyone listening that you can do whatever it is you put your mind to. So DCP finishes, I go to University of Miami. Let me just look at my notes real quick. I don't really have a lot to talk about University of Miami, so I'll make it quick. I started in 2013. I graduated in 2017. When I was there, I was doing mostly software engineering because at this point, that's what I knew I wanted to do in my life. And throughout that time, I actually applied multiple times to Disney Professional Internships. So if we do Disney Professional Internships, not Disney programs. I applied several times and was rejected multiple times from Disney Professional Internships. And one summer, during a summer job I had, I was contacted and they wanted to interview me, and I interviewed and I got the job. So in the fall of 2016, I took a semester off from University of Miami right before graduation, and I said, I want to do this. I'm going to take a semester off and go work at Disney, and that's exactly what I did. And I started my job as an engineer in Disney World. Now no longer in the hospitality sort of track of things, but I'm looking more into engineering, which is where I wanted to end up, and it's what I'm doing today. For the last 7 years, I've been doing software engineering. So let's look at that real quick. And I want to show you where I actually worked. So right behind, let's actually look right behind Magic Kingdom. Let's look at the maps here. So behind Magic Kingdom, there is this area right here, Disney Center Drive. And if we actually place the little guy here, just gotta remember, I believe it's not this way, this way. Keep going this way, keep going this way, keep going this way. And by the way, anyone can drive here. This is public. You can actually drive here. This is where I worked right here. You can see here it says D&E. That stands for Design and Engineering. And if you look at the sign here, it says Walt Disney Design and Engineering, 5520 Center Drive. So this used to be, and it looks like it, a KinderCare building. So again, going back to what I said about, Disney's first priority is entertainment, not engineering. I mean, we were housed in what used to be a kindergarten or a daycare building, KinderCare, and now it's a engineering building. And this is where I worked. This is actually where I worked during my time there, and it was very cool because you can imagine, Storybook Circus is literally right over here. We're very close to the Magic. You can hear the boats that take guests to and from the resorts like Wilderness Lodge. You can see the fireworks. You can pretty much just walk directly to Walt Disney World, especially Magic Kingdom. And going on that, walking, the day that I started my professional internship, if you haven't already seen the utilidors at Magic Kingdom, or if you don't know this, Magic Kingdom's actually on the second floor. So underneath Magic Kingdom is an entire ecosystem, a web of tunnels with shops, a barbershop, dining, people literally driving go-karts and walking. And the reason it exists is because Walt Disney himself wanted guests not to be able to see different characters walking across the park. They wanted people to be sort of surprised. So if a character like Mickey had to go from one area to another, they would just access the utilidors, go underneath, and come back out in another spot like magic. And it worked, and it's still there. And I believe you can actually book a tour to it. But on the first day of the job, they gave all of us a tour of it, and it was very, very cool to see. It's pretty, I won't lie, it's pretty plain down there. It's not like super magical or anything. It really just looks like a tunnel. But the concept of it is what's really captivating. So let's go back to what I was doing. I worked in Disney in D&E, Design and Engineering, and I was responsible, I guess the best way to describe this, I wrote software that helped ride technicians manage computers that operated the attractions. So one good example of this is I got to see the backstage of Toy Story Midway Mania. Toy Story Midway Mania has a lot of computers that run that ride, and I wrote some software that would allow for ride technicians to do operations on these computers, right? Do updates or see if one of the machines was down and what to do about it, and maybe notify someone. So maintenance software, if you will. And one of the cool things about professional internship is I got to go out and see a lot of backstage. So I saw Midway Mania. I walked the track of Dinosaur, which unfortunately is going out in a couple months. I saw a lot of Turtle Talk with Crush randomly. I had a coworker that did a lot of maintenance on that ride and would sometimes say, "Hey, do you want to come with me at 3 in the morning to Epcot?" Which, by the way, Epcot at 2 or 3 in the morning is almost just as busy as it is during the day, with all the cast members going around doing all their work. And I would go out there with him and see it. I saw Pirates of the Caribbean. I saw Space Mountain. Okay, Space Mountain backstage. If you ever, I don't know if they do, and I don't even know if the backstage I saw was like the backstage that you'd see if you paid for it, but there are some things in there. I mean, there are some drawings left over decades ago that are very uh, sexual, if you will. There's literally a bar in there, or if I remember correctly, there's a pool table under there with like neon signs of like beer signs. There's posters in there, if you will. So very interesting stuff. I also saw Spaceship Earth. By the way, if you ever go to Spaceship Earth, let's look at Spaceship Earth together, right? So Spaceship Earth, Epcot. I want to see. There's a specific picture I'm looking for here. So this column right here is a elevator. Very nice accent. Service elevator. And I went up and down this service elevator, and when you get off on these floors, you can quite literally walk around this ball, and there's offices in there. There's a lounging area with a mini fridge, a TV. I mean, it's incredible what some of these attractions house, and I didn't even get to see all of it. Like, I'm sure something like Haunted Mansion, for example, probably has so much back there that just looks so cool. So very, very cool stuff there. I mean, that was definitely one of the highlights of being a professional intern. And again, I'm looking at this real quick. Let's talk about the people that I roomed with. So I had 4 roommates this time instead of 6. I roomed with an electrical engineer, an industrial engineer, a mechanical engineer, and of course myself, the software engineer. All of them sort of worked at Animal Kingdom. And one of the coolest things about this was during my time at this professional internship, I was able to stand in what is now Pandora when it was just dirt. Like, I went in there with a hard hat on, my construction boots, and all I saw were the floating mountains, and I got to walk that whole thing where it was literally just a pile of dirt. So that was another very, very cool moment. And my roommates were working on this project. I mean, now we're going from being in, let's say, DCP, where I'm mostly front desk, not really seeing too much of backstage. Now I'm rooming with people that are quite literally working on these attractions that are what we know and love today. So very, very cool, completely different concept. You're really in the magic now. You're dealing hands-on with the job. In my case, it was just writing a lot of software. And, I don't know if at other companies you might see that sort of backstage and breaking the fourth wall, but at Disney World, it's like, man, you're seeing so much of stuff that's not typically shown to the naked eye, right? You have to be in the know to make it happen. So I think there's a lot of stuff I covered already, and there's some more stuff I'll say now. I think one of the biggest regrets I have about Disney is during both times that I did these programs, for some reason, as extroverted as a person as I am, I wasn't as extroverted as I could be. And I regret not taking more opportunities of the times that I was there, talking to more people, networking, getting out of my comfort zone, going out more, even if just for fun, to parties. So one thing I suggest is if you do this program or any program, if you're considering doing study abroad or Disney World or anything else, just get out of your comfort zone and really take advantage of it. Doesn't matter what stage you are in, because only good can come out of that. So that's one thing I do regret. But in terms of both these internships, I think they were great, and they really formed who I am today. The professional internship was great. I think it was a great world experience. I wish I kind of knew more about programming before I entered. I felt like such a noob still, even though I had done so much college. Just goes to show that in college, it's really all about theory. And when you get to the real world with practical knowledge, it's a lot more difficult. So that's something I wish I knew a little bit more of. But all to say, I finished the professional internship. I went all the way. I graduated. I'll try to put some pictures and post of my graduation and some of the different times I hung out with roommates, as I'm going through this. But I think it was a great experience, and I just wanted to go through both of these experiences with someone that is doing engineering, maybe sort of a different look on things. And of course, if you have any questions, if you're considering doing the programs yourself, or if you've already done them, let me know in the comments below. And if you like this type of content, just subscribe and follow, because I'm kind of doing like commentary content where I just talk about anything I like. I'm kind of over picking a niche and just doing what interests me, So this is fun for me. Again, I hope it's just as fun for you. And I guess with all that being said, I'll see you next time. I have literally, I have ideas on the whiteboard right behind me of things that I want to talk about in the future. So stick around, and there's a lot more that we'll talk about. And I will see you all next time. Take it easy.